Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
And I'm Rob Johnson, the king of Halloween.
It's coming up. It's your time, huh?
Oh, you know we love the Halloween.
Wow. You get a lot of visitors?
No.
Nice.
No, I live out in the boondocks.
Okay.
I mean, we live out in the sticks. So, we might get one or two, or, I think because of COVID and everything, we really haven't seen anybody in, a couple of years.
Okay.
But, I live on a country street. Like I said, across the street from me is all cornfield. There's no houses across the street. Cornfield and Buffalo.
Did you bus your kids into other neighborhoods when they were young?
I wouldn't say that we bust them in to other neighborhoods, but we went to a buddy of mine's house and we went around his neighborhood. Three families, we get together every year and we do, a big have dinner and everything, potluck type stuff. And then the husbands, the guys, we would take the kids out trick-or-treating. So it wasn't like we were going to that neighborhood because, they're going to get good stuff here. It was just, that kind of thing.
Right.
Did you bus into other neighborhoods?
We always lived in, the good neighborhoods were too far for us. It would have been too much to expect. We're sorry, we're not worthy of your good food here. No, we never hightailed it over to the good neighborhoods. It would have required a drive, and that wasn't going to happen.
Okay.
So,
at what age did you stop trick or treating?
Oh my God, I can't believe you asked this. I went 1 year too many, man. It is one of my big regrets in life. I went 1 year too many. So what are you in the 8th grade? I can't remember what, it must have been like 14. And I thought, all right, I don't know these people in this town. I'm new here, right? So it's safe. So I dressed up to go out that last year in the quest of chocolate. And I dressed up in some goofy outfit or whatever, just some homemade whatever, just to get the chocolate, And I knocked on the door, and it's the prettiest girl in our class's house.
You know what? I think I've heard this story before.
Yeah.
I think I have.
She was handing the candy out to the kids. I was mortified. I mean, I was absolutely mortified.
Did she know it was you?
Of course. I couldn't disguise all this. And so that was bad, man.
Well, girls mature before guys, so
that's no help, Rob.
So
there was no help at all.
I was trying to throw you a
no, I was dejected.
There.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah. All right.
I stopped when I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And that was probably like you. That was a little too late.
Clearly when. Yeah.
I mean, you're a freshman in high school. That probably, yeah. You can say, I was cool and I was out, throwing eggs and, being a hoodlum and everything. But, still came home with a sack of candy too. So freshman in high school, way too old to be out there.
Yeah. Thank you. And there's another, like when they get the doorbell knock and it's some kid who's damn near got a beard and he just got his hand out and he's really got no outfit on. What the hell are you doing? Go get a job. You know what I mean? There's 8 million jobs out there right now. You're here trick-or-treating. Go get a job. Okay. All right, today.
What's today's show about, Wayne?
If this guy had done what we're going to say next, he wouldn't have been trick-or-treating at 14 years old with his hand out. He would have already developed good habits where he could have started making some headway in life. Right?
So that's what today's show is about, habits.
We talked about annoying habits of coworkers, but now we're going to talk about habits in general and how they affect your life and how to have good habits and how important good habits are. And I'm going to tell you something.
Uh-oh.
A lot of people in this industry, I'll tell you, Rob, the role of a father is so important in life, and of learning good habits when you're young. Because I was thinking about this, we started doing the show. What if you had lousy habits from the very beginning, and you were never taught good habits, and you went through this whole life knowing that not knowing that a few adjustments here or there, or a few things you did differently, could have made all the difference in the world. And so many things all come down to habits, right?
Yes.
One of the most important habits you can have as a young man is make your bed every day. Ask me how many times I've made my bed.
How many times have you made your bed?
Never. But I started thinking about that now. That would have been a good habit. You know what I mean? And in the military, they teach you how to make your bed, because if you do nothing else in life, if you just get up every day and made your bed, you've accomplished something, right? So I'm going to read you just this one little thing from this book. This book is called Atomic Habits, right? It's by James Clear. I'm just going to read this one short paragraph. If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly down to zero. What starts as small or minor with a small setback accumulates into something much more. So, I mean, it's like compound interest, when your money in the bank. And here's the thing that we do in America to ourselves. I mean, this is something that I think sets us back. We reach too high. You know what I mean? And I'll give you a great example. I remember when I was.
Wait, what did you say? We reached too high.
Yes.
We set the bar too high.
Yes, way too high.
So you want to lower the bar. Okay.
But weightlifters years ago, bodybuilders, strongmen in the circus, there was very, very few of those. And the reason, because those weights were so damn big and heavy to begin with, nobody could lift them. It wasn't until they started making 2.5-pound weights, 5-pound weights, 10-pound weights, that people started getting more into bodybuilding and stuff and got stronger, because you could make those small increments. When I was in high school, I was in great shape, right? You see that in me. So when I that was a joke, but you really see it in me? Oh, cool. When I was in high school, I was in great shape. About 4 years out of high school, now I was working with old men. I'm not active anymore. I picked up bad habits of just eating whatever I want, coming home watching TV, watching football, and I wasn't active anymore. And I gained weight, gained like 25 pounds right out of high school. And one day I decided I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to get in shape. And right down the road from my house was a massive hill. I mean, a huge, humongous hill. I went out, I bought some sweatpants. And I thought, I'm going to set the alarm at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm going to run up to the top of that hill every morning. Right? Get in shape.
Can you hear the Rocky theme song right now? I can.
The Rocky theme song is going to come crashing down shortly. On day one, I made it a third of the way up. And I had a cramp and everything was hurting. I was out of breath. I was tired. I turned around and went home, and I got in my truck and I slept for about an hour and a half. Expectations were too high. So small incremental changes, I think, are huge, but habits are so important. So, and to this day, the reason I have this book is because I've realized that in our careers, how habits become so important to everything that we do. And creating good habits, a lot of times it's just choices, and it's just something seems very meaningless, but over time amounts to a tremendous amount. So I think we'll talk about that.
I can still hear the Rocky theme.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't get up to the stairs the very first time. Remember, he could barely make it up there.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, the first time, his very first day when he drinks the eggs.
Okay.
First time going out and training. Mm-hmm. You don't remember that part?
No, I just remember him get to the top of the hill and dancing.
Yeah, that didn't happen for months and months. His first time up the hill, he's holding his side. He could barely get up there.
If you would have gave me the speech after I did that hill, I probably would have went another day.
There you go.
You know?
You didn't go back to the hill. That was it.
That was it.
One time.
But I did look good in that sweatsuit. I did rock the sweatsuit for quite a while. Yeah. All right. So you want? Don't want you to tell me about some habits that you have, Rob, or that what your thoughts here?
Well, I thought we were going to go with habits of sanding floors, installing floors.
We are. We are.
I didn't think this was
Well, we are, but
personal stuff.
this was a teachable moment, I thought,
Oh,
in general in life. You know,
Yeah.
there might be some apprentices that listen to us that are young people starting out and didn't have a father figure that I could be their father figure. Although that's a lot of responsibility. So I don't know.
The father of floor sanding. I can see it now.
Oh, yes.
Good
All right. So good habits.
with animals. I don't know about people though.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Because I would get annoyed if you didn't have good habits. You came to me as a young guy, I probably would be kind of annoyed. To be honest with you. All right. I'll tell you um, a habit that that and you talk about this fairly often and how important it is. You've got to respect that dust bag and that sander. You've got to, even when you go to lunch, get in the habit of taking it outside and taking care of it, and don't even trust it by the time you go to lunch. And even that maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes, it could creep into an hour. That dust bag is a scary animal.
It doesn't take much.
I think of that thing as like a mountain lion sitting there. It could turn on you if you take it for granted, take it for granted, take it for granted. Oh gosh, we show up to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. We realize, oh shoot, we forgot to take the dust bags out. Can't happen. Can't happen. There's too much on the line, and that's a habit that I think is an absolute must.
Well, if that's where we're going, mine would be stain rags.
What the hell do you mean if that's where we were going? I was off into worldly events, and you brought me back into the sanding thing. So
No, I'm glad we're going there. That's good because
Okay.
I really have nothing on worldly stuff, just bad habits. Okay,
Okay.
but I like doing floor sanding habits.
Okay, good.
That's where my list is. That's where I made my
Yeah.
list.
All right. Well, cool.
And stain rags. That's why I like you were talking about dust bags. My habit was, and I had dust bags further down, up really close to the top of my list was stain rags.
Yeah.
All hands on deck. When you're done staining, you have to know where every stain rag is. Do yourself a favor, get a plastic bucket, 5-gallon bucket, a couple gallons of water. Everything goes into the water. Carpet pads, stain rags, whatever you're using, everything goes into the water.
Yep. And shame on me because I said dust bags from the big machine, but it's also edger bags and maybe even more important than anything is the vacuum cleaner bags.
Backpack vac bags. Yep, that was right under stain rags. I'm going to cross that one off.
Yeah. Speaking of stain rags and stains, when we're in this trade every day, we're working with stains every single day. You're almost immune to the smell anymore, right? I mean, customers will come home and go, "Oh my God, it smells so bad." And you're like, "What?" But I don't know if I told you or not, but next door to me, somebody's working on the floors. I love it, man. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I don't know who they are. They're it's an older guy, and as a kid, as I got to know him. But they stained the floor today, and from the back of my house, from the very back of my yard, I can smell the stain. Now I'm a long ways away from them, but that tells you these chemicals that we're using that we take for granted that we smell all the time. I mean, we're working around some serious stuff. So all it takes, as we know, as you said, many times, it just takes one stain rag one time. So I think sometimes the first step into good habits is like I would leave myself a note every day on my driver's seat, like things I'm going to need for the job tomorrow. I don't want to forget. So I would put something like put it on my driver's seat so I can't forget it, or I'll put it with my car keys. And no, I can't drive off without doing it. So that I make myself read the note. So that will help you get in the habit of doing these things. But all it takes is one thing, man. You missed one edger bag that got on fire. You missed one stain rag that could just destroy your career. So it's so important that we keep that in mind with our habits.
Now, Your neighbor who was having their floor done.
Yeah.
Did they ask you to do it?
It's funny because uh, the lady's never there. She's been remodeling his house for years and she doesn't live there. I couldn't even pick her out of a lineup. But my Judy will say, oh, the neighbor was there today. She knows her car. She's talked to her a few times before, but I don't know her. I did tell her I did floors back in the day. I don't do floors anymore. So she didn't ask me. I didn't volunteer information. Obviously I don't do side jobs. Yeah, so I don't.
Because the reason I ask, I remember a neighbor that I knew. He was maybe 3 doors down from me. Now, even though I live in the sticks, the one side of the street is just normal, on the other side there's nothing.
Yeah.
And 3 doors down. Now I know everybody in the neighborhood knows what I do because I know what everybody. We all know what everybody does. And I'll never forget. I pull out of the driveway. I'm driving to work, and I see a competitor's truck in that guy's driveway.
Wow.
And they're unloading the machines and doing. And I was like, well, what the? I mean, talk about
that's an insult.
Fury.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even give me a shot.
Yeah.
I thought, I always wave to you when I drive by. That frosted me good, man. That hurt.
Yeah.
I was kind of rooting against him on that one.
I've had that happen to me too. About 3 doors down from me, they had another floor guy do the thing, and I had the same reaction. I was furious. Now, I didn't want the job, and I would have told the guy no. I probably would have turned it down because I don't want to come home every day and I did a floor to your next door to me. You know what I mean? Hey, Wayne,
Okay.
I got scratch. I don't want that, but you should have asked me, right? You should have asked me, and then we could be friends still. But now we can't be friends anymore.
Now you're an enemy. Now you're a definite enemy.
Of course.
Absolutely. When you said that you smelled the stain when you walked outside.
Yeah.
How many times have you been driving down the street, or when I was in sport, Billy, we took a couple of contractors and we were in Boston, and we were in downtown Boston. We're going to take these guys out to dinner. So we're at a park, and we, park just at a, outdoor parking place. And as soon as we get out of the car, we all heard an edger. And this edger was 2 blocks away, and he was up 5 or 6 stories.
Yep.
You could hear it. I mean, there is just nothing like the sound of a sander for a floor guy, because we look like little kids. Like, oh my God, look at it. It's up there. There it is. It's up there. Right up there. And this is pretty far away, but man, there is just nothing like the whine of an edger that, just like when you said you smelled the stain.
Yeah.
You can be driving down the road with your window down and hear a machine.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Listen, I'll go one better than that. I was in Boston. I was on vacation with my cousin. We're walking down the sidewalk. I look down and I look at a guy and I go, hey, is you a hard floor guy? He goes, yeah. My cousin goes, how the hell did you know that? I go, look at the shoes, man. There's a stain on the boots, a little bit of stain on the boots. You look at his knuckles, it's a floor guy. Another for me is, and people say this all the time, but it is true for me, is that if my sander wasn't sanding a floor, the wheels were not touching the ground. If I was transporting it to the job, if I went to lunch, if the next day the wheels never set on the ground, and that is the honest to God truth. I didn't not the beginning of my career, because I didn't know how important this was, but the more I learned and the more I got into the sanding aspect of it, those wheels never touch the ground unless I'm sanding.
That's a good one. I should put that under my bad habits.
Oh yeah,
because we got in bad habits because the wheels that we used to have were all steel. All the drums we had were all steel wheels. So
yeah, that's right.
We used to just go up and down driveways, sidewalks, and everything. And then when we got our first neoprene type wheels, I was treating the wheels just like, no, you don't got to carry it, just roll it. It's like everything, because remember the old steel wheels on everything? They were indestructible.
Yep.
I mean, those wheels lasted longer than people.
Speaking of wheels and kind of going into this, have you ever seen something get underneath a wheel and leave little pecker marks on the floor?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
little
yeah.
indentations. Absolutely right.
Doesn't take much.
That's the other thing is I never wheeled my machine into the job. I know it's, a lot of guys say you're crazy or whatever, it takes time, blah, blah, but I broke my machine down every time and I carried it, to, the motor and the chassis and put it together. And I did check the wheels. Uh, as part and okay, we're gonna go into another one. Sorry, because I'm probably taking a half a year's, Rob, but I did blow the machine out after every job. Honestly. Again, not in the beginning of my career, certainly in the last 10 years of my career. I blew it out, took a compressor, got under there and blew everything out all the time, make sure it was running right. So yeah, I think that's an important habit to get into.
That's another one of my bad habits. I learned that one the hard way. Well, it wasn't that hard. All right. It wasn't that bad. I had brought one of our belt sanders when we made the transition over to belt sanders. I had brought that in to have it serviced. And the service guy pulls me aside when I get there and he goes, "Hey, I want to show you something. When I took your upper roller assembly out, he saved the dust. Okay. It was all dust. It was all charred. It was all black
Wow.
and everything." He goes, this was coming out of your machine. He goes, "So all of this stuff was blowing in your bag." He goes, "You got to blow these machines out a
Wow.
lot more than you were doing." Well, it's like, well, I never blew them out.
Mm-hmm.
And when he showed me all that dust, I was like, holy, I mean, this stuff was, it was all burnished and you know what I mean? You know, the dust
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, you got to be careful with that big time. So that's a good habit to get in. Blow those machines out.
Yep. All right. You want to go? You got one? Or you want me to go?
Yeah. One of my big habits was start with a drum, finish with a drum. And doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. You talk to guys in the classes and the schools, and some guys like to finish with the edger. Some guys finish with the drum. But my thing was I used to get the drum going as fast as I could and do as much as I could with the drum so the guy edging doesn't have a lot to edge. If I can make his job easier, he's got the toughest job on the crew. So I'm going to try and make his life easier. And I like starting with the drum, try to get a room done before he's set up and going. So we used to get our machine going absolutely as fast as possible just for that. But the other thing too is I always like finishing with the drum, edge, and then finish with the drum.
I agree, but I think there's exceptions to that. And the one exception to me is on a parquet floor or a pattern floor. That excuse me, especially as it's laid on a diagonal or whatever, is that I don't want that machine to maybe leave a half, go through half a block. You know what I mean? So I'd rather, on that case, I'd rather do my edging last. But for the most part, I do believe in you very, very, very much so. I know there's I think Lenny Hall, I know he did back in the day. I'll be curious to see if he still feels the same way, that the edging should be done last. I know 100% sure he won't remember. He and I were on an NWFA class probably 20 years ago or more even. And that came up. So I think back in the day, he used to recommend edging last. I don't know if he feels the same way. I could be wrong. But I think you always run the big machine last, unless that one exception is if you're doing a parquet floor or herringbone floor or whatever, that I don't want that machine not like cutting through the middle of a block. So in that case, I edge last.
Well, it hit Peter and I one day because I used to, it never really mattered. I didn't think it mattered. Hey, whatever, right? If we're edging, we're edging. If we're drumming, not a big deal. And we had done this, I don't know, probably dozen racquetball courts. And I think I even told the story on the show before. And so we're sitting there having lunch and watching these guys playing racquetball. Now, it's maybe 4 of the courts were the glass on,
Yeah,
so you could watch guys play. And then the
right.
others were all the enclosed, right? Remember the old racquetball court places?
What did you get out of watching the guys play? curious.
Okay, we were watching girls play racquetball.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
Okay, fine.
We were eating lunch. We were just
Okay.
hanging out eating
Listen,
lunch.
I'm not judging. I just asked.
It does sound like I'm being judged here.
No, I'm sorry.
But-
Okay, so you were looking through the glass.
So we're looking through the glass, and the other thing was, oh, look at, we had just finished this one, and finished it a couple days ago, and look at those beautiful lines out there, and crisp, and the floor was shiny and just perfect. And then I looked right down where the floor met the glass and the lights and everything. I thought I was going to throw up when I saw all the edge marks. Oh, you could see, you could see everything because it was, glass, reflection, intense lighting, and gloss finish. And I looked at Pete and I go, I can't live it. We got to do these courts over. There's no way we're going to try and get business out of this, right? Oh, that was some really, really bad edge of work. That was when I really decided, all right, we got to do a better job edging. The old 40-80 satin poly, bad lighting, not here.
Was that back in the day where the men wore those real short shorts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, my kids make fun of me because I still wear those short shorts.
Really?
Yeah.
I lost my when I went to work for Bona.
You did?
Yeah. Chiseled it used to be.
Financially or?
No, physically. Financially it was okay, but you're doing floors every day. You're picking up machines. You're bent over. You're picking up stuff. You're working every day. You're carrying in wood. You're working all the time. And now that's all gone. And Aaron pointed out to me one time. He took a picture and it was like, it's gone, dude. It's gone. So it's just one of the things that come with the territory.
I say that to the kids all the time. I really miss being strong.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. Like I lost like 30 pounds or so not too long ago and kept most of it off. I think, oh, that's fantastic. But I look like a wimp. I don't like 30. You know what I mean? I don't look like 30 like back in the day when I weighed that amount. It's things change. So all right.
So you got to be the only person in the world disappointed in weight loss. Oh my God, look at me.
I remember when I was a kid.
Go give me some cheeseburgers. I can't look like this.
I ran track when I was in high school, and I ran the mile and the 2 mile. Although I could have ran the 100-yard dash, but politics. But so I ran the mile and 2 mile, and we had our pictures taken. Right, the track team. Right, so I get the picture taken, and I come home and I show my mom, show mom, here's a picture of me and the track team, and I'm standing next to the shot putter, right, and she goes, "You had to stand next to that guy." The guy was a tank, and I was at that time I probably weighed about 175 pounds because I was running every day. I was skinny, but yeah. So anyhow, that's how I was going. I'm going backwards.
Well,
all right.
That's what I was, shot putter and discus.
Yeah. Wow.
And one of the funniest track meets ever was because I was also on the indoor track team too. So we're at an indoor track meet and there was no place for us to throw the shot put. It was just something happened, something weird. So you got and they used to, these track meets, right? You were in track, so they'd be 4, 5, 6 schools there, So you got 4 or 5, and they used to call us the weight men. Imagine calling kids that now.
Yeah,
everybody be going to their safe space. And I remember listening to the coaches like, well, the weight men can't do the shot put. He goes, let's have them run a relay race. So you had 5 teams of shot putters running a relay race. Could have been. It's a shame that we didn't have cameras and stuff like phones like we have now because it was hysterical.
Man.
All you heard the whole time was just the banging of the batons dropping.
Yeah.
Right. That clanging.
Yeah. You know, though, when a relay race is the worst race you could possibly run. If they take you out of your sport, like you were a shot putter doing your thing, you trained to do that, right?
Yeah.
But then they put you in something else, man. Like I said, I ran the mile, 2 mile. One day they said we need somebody to do the on the relay for the 880, and I said, all right, well, I'll do it. And I figured, all right, I'm going to burn this up, man. I'm used to running a mile. This is going to be nuts. I got to run
This is
220 or
nothing.
something like that.
Yeah.
Piece of cake. A third of the way through, I wanted to throw up. It's like, man, this was like completely different than I've been used to. So
The funny part of this was they just threw us out there, right?
Huh.
And they go, okay, you guys are going to run a relay. Right? So, and you had all, but the funny part was the coaches and the other guys on the team trying to show shot putters how to give a baton and run and accept the baton. You know, it's not just
yeah.
like they
Oh,
run up to you and hand it to you, right?
yeah.
They're trying to do the whole, well, this is how you do it. You got to be running in motion with your hand in the back and the whole, it was just, that would have been half of the comedy, was just them showing us how to give it and accept it.
Yeah. I'll have to tell you this, and then maybe this is too long. We'll have to cut this out. I don't know. But the part of the problem on a relay team too is that you're part of a team now. That's what I liked about running track is it's you, good or bad, it's you, right? But now if you blow the hand off, then you know you screwed up for everybody. The worst instance of that I've ever had in my life was when my brother John and I moved to a new town again, and we were in the ROTC program, right? We joined the drill team and the honor guard. The drill team, these guys at our school, they really took this to heart, man, and they were really good at, you know, you see them, you see on TV the Marines, the color guard doing the Queen Hand salute, doing the rifles at each other and all that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So my brother was on that. I was on the color guard. Okay. So we had a drive to this function where we competed against all the other ROTC teams in the state, and they had practiced night after night after night. And my brother he was in the front where, as they're marching off, when the routine is done, he has to take his rifle and throw it to the guy at the very back, right? So he throws it without looking, he tosses it back to him, and the guy 5 guys back catches it, and then he does the salute, and they walk off. They nailed it every time was perfect. When it came to time to do it, my brother threw it at a right angle. Like he threw it like so far off to the right that he's like, it's incomprehensible how you could do that. So then it came time for the color guard. I was a rifleman on the color guard. There's one on each side of the flag. There's the 2 guys in the middle and then the rifleman. When we start marching out there, the guy called halt. I kept walking, right? I mean, walking beautifully, but walking alone without the flag. Everybody else had stopped, like they're back there. And I keep walking after he said halt. I don't know what and then it's like, well, how far do I carry this on? You know what I mean? Well, I could now just pick any place to stop. You know what I mean? I'm like out in the wind now. So when I came to a stop, it was like a really official, beautiful boom, 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 stop, right? And then the other guy had to have everybody had march them up to catch up to me. And then it's done. My brother and I were in the back of the bus. It was like, damn, man, Highlanders, man. You know, we had just moved to this town. We didn't hardly know anybody, but my brother John screwed up the whole ROTC drill team. I screwed up the color guard. We came back with like a 0 in the contest. Just
That
another
sounds
town.
exactly like a Three Stooges.
Yes,
Right? I can see that now.
Yeah.
They stop, Curly keeps going. You were Curly. Keep going.
Yeah, it was ugly. Okay.
You should have done the Curly shuffle going backwards to get back into the line.
I don't think so. Habits. I will say this, that making a lunch every day, believe it or not, if you add up the amount of money that you spend and time at lunch, it's over a year's time. That is a habit that for young people especially. I mean, if you're spending $15 a day, if you go to Starbucks in the morning, you're getting coffee, which is astronomically expensive. Then at lunchtime, you're spending 15 or so bucks for lunch, $10 for lunch. Well, that's you know, just on the lunch every day, it's $50 a week. That's $200 a month. Then you add in the other things, and that you're talking about, you know, that's a car payment after a while, right? Especially for your hoopties. So I think it's important if you think about how much you spend on lunch every day versus just making your own in the morning and bring it with you. I've actually make my own breakfast now every morning instead of going to the restaurant. And it saves, it saves $10 a day. So I really think that's a habit that if you add that up over a year's time, put that money aside, it's a lot of money.
It's big time. One of my big habits is releasing the pressure, releasing the paper on the drum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Especially now where the drums that we have now compared to the old drum sanders. The old drum sanders, remember you didn't have that nice soft rubber. It was that white felt. Remember how hard it was? So it was tough to flat spot that stuff unless you hit it with something. But with the new rubbers that we have today on drum sanders, if you leave that pressure on the paper, you're going to flat spot it, because what happens is that rubber gets all warm, you run that machine 8, 10, 12 hours a day, that rubber's hot. And if you don't take the pressure off of that paper, you're going to flat spot that rubber.
Yep.
And if it cools like that, you're going to have chatter marks for 45 minutes the next day until she heats up again, and now you get that nice round. So every day, that's my big habit, even to the point where if I'm going to lunch, I'll just release the pressure off of it, let that rubber come back nice. So I'm constantly, it's one of the things I talk to guys about in the class, same thing, just get in that habit of always releasing the pressure, and you'll never flat spot the drum, and you won't get the, chatter marks. Because I remember when people were like, yeah, I'm getting chatter marks. I'm like, that's impossible to get a chatter mark with a belt machine. But I found out, no, absolutely not. You can get them.
Well, it's interesting. I had that on my list as well. And I also added to that, this could almost turn into a big machine episode, is loosening the belts on the machines for this very same reason. They develop a set. And over time, instead of going through the pulleys nice and smooth, it's going boom, boom as it comes around. So now look at the things we just talked about. That takes 30 seconds. Loosen the belts. Take the wheels off the ground when you're not sanding. The dust bag, take the dust bag out, and taking the tension off of the sandpaper. So that tells you these are finely tuned machines that we're working with today. No matter what brand they are, they're finely tuned machines. And with the labor shortage and then the expectations put on the floor guys today, that's something you can do every day that takes literally no time to do, and could really dramatically, hell, even if it's on one job, it stops you from having a problem. And well, since we're at it, I'm just going to say, when you go on vacation, if you know you're scheduling to go on vacation, schedule bringing the machine at the same time to the shop and get worked on. Have it serviced. Don Smithson, God bless you wherever you are, man. I know he's retired from the industry, but one of the best guys I've ever seen working on a machine. A phenomenal machine man. We would take our machines, we would bring it to him. He would service them while we're on vacation.
Wasn't he? He was from California, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him. I met him a couple times out there.
Such a good dude, man.
Really nice guy. Yeah.
Nice guy, phenomenal mechanic, and he's retired.
Wow, that's a name from the past.
Yeah. Good guy. Good guy. I'll tell you, Kevin O'Leary too. They got a great shop as well, man. That's another guy that does a good job with machines. So
absolutely. You know what? Let's keep going down big machines. I got a couple more for the big machine. So we're on it. I check that footprint every day. Every day I check the footprint before I start.
Do you really?
Yeah. You want to check the footprint. And one of the reasons, and I think we've all done it, where you start running the buffer, you're all done. You start running the buffer, and all of a sudden you see, those nice slice lines, where you cut too heavy on one side, and now I got to go back. I got to either try and buff everything out or take it out with the machine. And if I had just checked the footprint, And the reason that I like checking it is because even though it was sanding heavy to one side, it was sanding light enough that it was still removing finish on the other side. You know what I mean? So even though it was removing finish all across the 8 inches, it was removing a hell of a lot more on one side than it was the other. And until I started checking the footprint, now you're never going to get jammed up like that again.
Yeah, good call. I honestly didn't do that a lot. Can I backtrack real quick?
No way. We're moving forward, man.
You already passed it up? All right.
Let's go. Back it up, baby.
Okay, so I talked about bringing your lunch to work. Back in the Oakland Hills, anybody who was a floor contractor in the 90s will remember this, that there was a massive fire in the Oakland Hills. You know, they get the Santa Ana winds in California every year or so, and it's very hot and really windy. There was a fire, and the fire went through, and I think it wiped out about 3,500 homes. So all the homes in this area were completely destroyed. And these are homes that are up in the hills that, you know, really very nice. It's the kind of neighborhood you'd want to trick or treat in, right? Really nice, fancy homes, but they're integrated into the hills and everything. So when we were doing work up there after the fire, it was like a sea of construction workers everywhere, right? I mean, every house is being rebuilt from scratch. You can imagine, you know, the chaos. And we're working at the top of the hill. To go down the hill to lunch and back would have been over an hour trip with all the chaos that was going on. And I had 4 or 5 guys on the job at the time, and the young kids, they didn't bring a lunch. I thought, man, I'm going to lose these guys for an hour and a half, and I can't afford that. I said, so look, just tell me I'll go down and get us a pizza or something. I'll be back as quick as I can. I leave the house. I go down about maybe 2 houses in my van. I see a pizza delivery guy looking for addresses. Now you can't really make out the addresses anymore because they're all new homes, right? So I rolled down the window and I said, "Where the hell you been?" He goes, "Hey, I couldn't get up here, man. I mean, there's, you know, the traffic, blah, blah, blah." I said, "All right, man, it's all right. Don't worry about it." So I get out of my van, I went over. He handed me 3 pizzas, some big 2-liter Cokes or whatever they are. I gave him the money, and I was back in the house like in 5 minutes. And that was like the best for me. You know, somebody got screwed, but how nice is that, man? That I didn't get to waste all that time with the guys.
You stole somebody else's pizza, but you paid for it.
I paid for it.
You paid for it.
I paid for it. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Now,
All right.
if you didn't pay for it, I would have said, "Oh, all right. You paid for it, so you're good."
Yeah, exactly. End of the day ritual. I think you have to have one. I go through and I make a note. I walk the job site at the end of every job, and what am I going to need for the day? I mean, if I thought ahead and I planned properly, I probably don't need anything. But always important to walk that job site so you don't lose time. You know, having to run to a distributor or something like that, or hardware store because you didn't have anything on what you needed on the job. So definitely walking the job and taking notes after every day. And by the way, too, taking notes on the jobs. What I bid the job for and how much, you know, I itemize every job at the end of every job and how we did on it. So I think you have to do that. You can't get in the habit of being too busy to actually go through every single job and itemize everything and how you did, you know, the margin you made on the job and what you bid it for, and evaluate yourself on every job. I think that's important too. I think that has to become a habit to get better. It can't be just routine. You go out and, you know, whatever. I think you have to be very analytical about it. And every job I sit down and how did we do? How could I have done better? Did my bid meet the expectations of what I thought I was going to make on the job? I think you have to do that.
Did you do that? Or was that a habit you wish you had done?
No, we did. Listen, especially the last 10 years of the job or whatever. I mean, I made a habit of it because I realized.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you have to otherwise you're kind of flying in the wind. You're thinking what you're making, but sometimes reality doesn't match up. So leave nothing to chance.
A big crazy habit of mine that I don't know. Some of these habits are almost anal, but I never started a fresh jug in the middle of a room. I always had enough to get through an entire room, whether I was using stain or finish or whatever. I always made sure that I would never run out halfway through a room and then had to start something new, a new jug or a new stain, a new quart or whatever. I always had enough to, just because of sheen levels, colors, you name it, whatever could go wrong sometimes would go wrong. So I was always hedging my bets. But that was one of my big time habits, was really being maniacal about that.
This job can get you in so many ways that these small little details add up to huge details. And so all these things that you can put on your side of the equation, man, this can make your life so much easier. And really a lot of what this is, so much of it is just thinking ahead a little bit and planning it out. And you're right. I mean, batching the finish together, bundle the finish together, as we say, is very important. And especially on a big open room with a lot of windows and everything, that you just can't leave anything to chance.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was another one of mine, and you would just say it, having a plan. That was, yeah. If you're just doing a living room, dining room, not much of a plan you're going to need. But when you're doing 8 or 9 rooms, a couple of floors, stairs, I always really started to map things out, sit down, draw it out, and really have a plan. Because a lot of times once I would sit down and draw it out, you're always thinking, well, you've been doing this since you were a kid, right? So you're just going to walk in and start doing it. It was amazing how many times when I really sat down and made a plan that I completely would go in a different direction to make sure that everything came together.
Mm-hmm. So the longer I was in this, and especially when I was working by myself, here's the thing, is that you have to get something out of every job. Like, what's the lesson? It seems like a razzle dazzle job. It seemed like, okay, this wasn't really, didn't really tax me because I know all these things. Like,
I've done this job 100 times, right?
Yeah.
That room. I've done this set 100 times, right?
But you have to get something out of every job. I really believe that. And financially, of course, yes. And what did I learn on the business side of this? Could I, even to the point where it's a 400 square foot job. So I told her we could do, 3/4 unfinished, sand and finish, blah, blah, blah. Or should I have told her pre-finish is the way to go? Because on these small jobs, if you started adding it up, the amount of trips, returns, whatever, maybe it makes more sense for a pre-finished floor. And as much as I'm a solid unfinished or solid engineer now, but an unfinished guy, sand and finish, maybe on a 300 square foot job, I should bid all those as a pre-finished job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I have to get something out of every single job. I have to learn something. And that's why, today, I also think that, and I guess I'm really an optimist, because I think every day has got to be better than the day before. As much as I really am. To me, you got to get something out of it. It's got to be better than yesterday.
Did you just call yourself an optimist?
I am 100% an optimist.
Wow.
I am 100% an optimist. Absolutely. I'm a realist, though. That's the thing.
You're a realist optimist.
Yeah, I'm a real optimist.
You're real.
I told you.
A realistic optimist.
Yes. But you got to get something out of every job. You have to learn something from it. It can't just be, I can't be in the trade that I'm just going to go through the motions or whatever, and I don't get something from it. I've got to learn something from it. I got to get better. And that's just a person. You can go through it like you're mowing a lawn, just walking behind the sander and whatever, and you're not paying attention to it, or you can read that floor and it tells you exactly what it really wants. And
my dad had a guy in the crew. His name was Charlie Durant, and I think I've talked to him about him before. He was really the trainer. He was the guy who trained everybody on how to load the paper, how to run the machine. It's the whole deal. He was the trainer. And after your first day of working with Charlie, at the end of the day, he would walk up to you and tell you, do not become a robot when you're sanding. Okay. He goes, even though it's the same motion over and over and over and over, he goes, you cannot be a robot. You have to look at every pass. You have to look at every single thing. Every time you move the machine or do whatever, it's a new pass, and you have to look at it like that.
You're so right. So let's take that a step further. So let's say you didn't do what I'm saying. Let's say that you've been staying for 20 years and you stayed with the routine. Look what's happened in the last 10 years or so in the industry with the planetary machines, the power drive, with the finishes, with the craft oil, with the vacuum systems that are out there, with the sandpaper sequences that are sandpaper grits and makeup of sandpaper that's out there today versus the other day. Now look at all the different procedures and now the expectations of how flat the floors have to be. The different rolling versus T-bar versus the different. There's so many ways this trade has changed that if you're not challenging yourself on every job, you're staying in that the way that you do things. I think that you could say maybe the game passes you by. I'm going to do a flip side to this, is that there is a school of thought, and I'm not judging them either. Is that what? I've been doing it for so long. I do it exactly the same way every time. It has worked every time. And there's that school of thought so I'm not knocking those guys either. Everybody has a different way of looking at this, but that's my way of looking at it.
The more you change, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really cool ways to make some money now. And I see it with old timers who come to the school, just like you were saying, I've been doing it this way. Well, the guys who come to the school, I think they're getting they're getting a lot of new ways to make a little extra money. Just by new ideas, green guard gold, wire brushing, using the natural anti-slip, all that kind of stuff, where it, like you said, might pass by some of the old timers, but boy, oh boy, you're just passing up money. Why don't we tell everybody what's your worst bad habits you do have? I don't even mean, it could be for anything, whether it's work, personal, whatever. What's your worst bad habit?
I've thought about this actually long and hard, and I don't have any. I don't know if I have any bad habits.
I wish you had met my dad, because my dad used to tell everybody, you can find me in the dictionary under P for perfect.
I like your style. All right. I don't know. I've got so many bad habits. I don't know. I'm probably too critical. But I will say this, though. Atomic Habits is a great book that I've read. It's by James Clear. Atomic Habits is a really eye-opener on how these little habits and these little small changes in life make a big deal. And I'll tell you a habit that I remember. On a podcast a while back ago, I said that I went to the hotel and I checked in the hotel and they didn't have a toothbrush, whatever. Remember I telling you that? And she said, "Oh, you look like a professional traveler."
Yes.
And for just a very small moment there, I felt good about myself. And it occurred to me how powerful words are and how they can change a bad day into a good day, or just a pat on the back for somebody up and coming can mean the world to them. Just one nice sentence. So getting in the habit of just trying to be a little bit nicer to somebody, or the guy you work with, pat him on the back, say, "Hey man, I appreciate everything you're doing," or whatever. Or just see someone struggling, just all it takes is just a one nice little thing. It'll make your day better. It'll make their day a whole lot better. And so there's a good habit that I try to do, and I'll leave you with.
So you're just trying to be more human.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than the way you used to be. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're joining us.
Yeah. I don't know about you. All right. You got a bad habit? What's your worst habit?
Oh, my worst habit is staying up until 2:00 in the morning watching movies that I've seen 100 times. I cannot break this habit. It drives Pauline crazy. Drives me crazy, but I don't know what it is. I can't stop.
Well, people that really, really enjoy movies like that love life. So you know what, man? That's not such a bad habit, Rob.
So that's not a bad habit then. If I'm
No,
all right.
you enjoy yourself.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
All right. We could go on, like you said, a lot of these,
We
but
could
we'll
go
end it right
on
here.
and on
Yeah.
and on. We should definitely do one about habits that I wish I got into, but
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
could be another show.
I could write yours down. You could write mine down. All right. This has been another episode of On the Floor with Wade and Rob. Hey, thank you very much for listening to the show. We appreciate it very much. And please do stay tuned for another episode.